my Walking Dead videos. You know, they're no longer reviews because I've reviewed every single, you know, episode in the whole Walking Dead series, so they're no longer reviews, just random topic videos until, you know, obviously Season 5 comes back. But before I get started, I would just like to say, hopefully you enjoyed my little intro. You know, it's nothing special. I created it myself. I don't expect you guys to like it, but I just really wanted an intro. And it's an alright intro, I guess. You know, it's not bad. It's sort of like the Walking Dead type theme, but it's just a bit worse than the Walking Dead intro ending thing. But, you know, today's topic is if Shane survived into Season 5, what would happen? So obviously, you know, he's got 2 whole seasons of development, just Rick, you know, and like, you know, Rick's evolution was absolutely extraordinary from Season 2 to Season 5. You might be like, that's 3 seasons, but you know, we're still not in Season 5, so technically I'm speaking about the end of Season 4, so it is 2 seasons. But, you know, the first thing would happen if Shane survived into Season 5, Rick would have died. He would have died in the last episode of Season 2, you know, I can confirm that, because, you know, the only reason Shane killed Randall and, you know, got Rick into the woods was to kill him and tell Laurie that Rick died and, you know, take over the camp again, because basically what happened was Shane was the leader of the group, and then Rick randomly stormed in and took over, which I don't know if that's the best option. I mean, from one point of view, you may think it is the best option because, you know, Rick's more, you know, negotiative, if that's not a word, but you know what I mean. However, you know, Shane just goes full on battle when Rick, you know, wants to talk it out. So you might be like, obviously, that might be the better option. You don't know. But so Rick would have died definitely if, you know, Shane lived. So you know, I don't know how you feel about that. And, you know, the group wouldn't be in the prison. I can almost confirm it, you know, because the highest possibility is if Shane was in the last episode of Season 2, you know, and he survived, and he would have not gone back to that, you know, the highway. He would never have gone there, because simply he would have just been in such an adrenaline rush after killing his best friend, you know. He would have just, like, tried to get away as possible. He would have ran to his people, got them, and just drove off. So, therefore, they would never, ever, ever have gone to the prison. They would never have found it. So, you know, we wouldn't have had the whole season revolving around the prison. And, you know, therefore, Shane would probably have sided with the governor. Because if you think about it from one point of view, they did, like, what's the point? They have the same mental, you know, objective, in a way. Shane just wants to protect his family, or what's, you know, Rick's family, basically, and the governor wants to protect his people, and, protect Penny. So they're on the same, you know, thingy. They're, I guess, the same toughness-wise, you know, I just couldn't compare them with whether who had to fight. Shane does look the more physically better, but you don't know, because, you know, Shane was a cop and he got Rick was a cop and he got absolutely demolished by the governor. I guess it's just the surprise factor, because the governor just looks like, you know, a 40-year-old dad, when in you know, he's some, you know, maniac. So he probably would have sided with the governor, and that means that, you know, they would have found Merle. So, you know, it's sort of linked together now. But Shane wouldn't negotiate with others, so if he didn't side with the governor, and he went to, I forgot what the episode's called, Arrow on the Doorpost, I believe, I think it is. If he went there, and, you know, tried to negotiate with the governor, that wouldn't have happened. You know, Shane, you know how Rick negotiates, that wouldn't have happened with, Shane, because what would have happened was Shane would have thought a plan with Daryl, because Daryl's all up for everything, you know, he'd just kill anyone. Like, you know, if you gave him a gun, he'd be like, come with me, he'd come with you. So, Shane, since he's the more, you know, offensive one in a way, he would literally just go there and, you know, make a plan to kill the governor, in that, you know, bunker type thing rather than negotiating. So, 'cause, you know, Shane isn't the negotiating type. You know, if it doesn't involve aggression and violence, he doesn't like it. For example, letting Randall go was a big ask for him. You know, he wanted to kill him, and you know, when Rick was like, I need one more day, he was proper angry. But you know, that just leads me on to Michonne. Would Michonne join? Because if he's on the same mental path as the governor, that means they want to protect their people, so that means they're basically the same person in a way. And Michonne doesn't like the governor, and even though Andrea wants her to stay and likes the governor, she just doesn't listen to Andrea. The same with Shane, you know, because Andrea loves Shane. Well, she don't really love him, they had sex once. But, you know, Andrea likes Shane, but if he's equivalent to the governor, I don't think Michonne would want to abstain, and therefore, later on in season 4, Carl wouldn't have had a mum, you know, because Michonne is practically his mum, you know, she's like best friend and his mum in one, you know. Rick, you know, how Carl sort of fell out with his dad, I don't know why, he just doesn't like Rick, or seems like it, you know, he's, you know, coming to the years of a teenager where he wants to be as far from his parents as possible, and Michonne's, you know, she's not his parents, so she's still in that zone, but in all fairness, she's his best friend too. You know, he can have a laugh with her, she plays games with him, doesn't he, and she tells him secrets and everything. So, Carl wouldn't have had a mum, therefore, you know, it would have been practically very hard for Shane to look after Carl, you know, because Laurie would have died, and Shane wouldn't have, you know, had the time in day to look after a kid. You know, because he's lost his mind by the end of season 2, never mind season 4 and 3, where Laurie dies, so it's practically just Carl and Shane in the family, you know. And most importantly, and I think this will make you guys hate Shane, Daryl would have left. Yep, and Daryl would have left. You might not believe it, because you're like, why would Daryl have left? But you know how in season 2, Daryl was, when everyone lived in that, you know, like little, you know, tents just outside the Herschel Green farm, house, sorry, Daryl was, you know, proper on the outskirt of the field, next to that, like, you know, I think it was some fireplace type thing, you know. Daryl was there, and he told Dale the group is broken, and therefore if he doesn't want to be around the people, and tell Dale the group is broken, he doesn't like the group, so I don't understand why he's staying with them. And plus, when Dale came to talk to Daryl, saying that Rick needs him, he said, Rick doesn't need me, and whenever he needs something he looks always at Shane. So if, you know, that just might have, you know, impacted it a bit, you know. I guess that Daryl would have left because he doesn't like Shane. You know, he always has a go at Shane. He doesn't really like him. He's alright with him, but I mean, if he found his brother, he would have left, you know, because he practically doesn't give a crap about the group. And Shane, since he's not the negotiating type, he wouldn't care if having Daryl or not. But Rick just wants to have Daryl because it's that extra safety. But, like, you know, most importantly, it wouldn't have been just Daryl leaving the group. The group would have practically fallen apart because, you know, everyone would have left because, you know, Shane's not a good negotiator. He wouldn't, you know, keep them safe at all. He would have just, you know, he would have been the governor with the new, you know, Megan's group type thing. That's what Shane would be. He wouldn't offer any, you know, protection or anything. He'd just be, you know, absolutely mentally abrupt, and he would have just stayed, you know, and be selfish and look after himself. And all this leads to Shane most likely being killed, you know, in season 3, because in season 3 episode 1 I would have said, because if you think about it, you know, if Shane would have been killed, literally, first episode, Shane wouldn't, we can't even picture him being in season 5 because he would have been killed in season 3. You know why? Because the group is starting to, like, come to terms with him losing his mind, and how he killed Otis. The group starting to, all the group starting to know about that, and then all of a sudden Randall goes missing, and it's Shane that's involved again, and you know, he went out with Rick, and if he came back to Laura to the green farm and said, oh, Rick died because of a walker. A, we know Rick's not that type of person to just get bit. And two, Daryl would have been there to look at the tracks, and he told the group that there is no, bites on Randall, and he attacked them. And, Shane's path and Randall's path is like basically one path, so they would have been together. So Daryl would have known what happens. Daryl knew that he killed Otis, so Daryl knew what type of person he was. He could have told all the group, and Shane most likely would have been killed. So we can't even picture him in season 5, but that there were just my little predictions. So yeah, so that's basically it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, this video. I can't really say episode. If you did, make sure to give me a like, it really helps. And yeah, so this is Midget, and I'm going to see you guys in the next episode.